So this month on my challenge blog, A Place to Start, our theme is it's always anything goes. And then we do an optional twist. And the optional twist this month is fancy folds or fun folds, whichever one you prefer. And so for my first card this month, I did my first zigzag card. I'd never done that before. And so then I saw this diagonal crossover card. It looks interesting. And I thought, well, I want to try that. I want to see, what I can do with that card design. So that's what I'm working on now. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't even know what elements I want to use. So right now I'm just at the first part of the card design, which is you take a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. And this was a old Basil, however they say their name, textured cardstock that I had, and I'm trying to use up a lot of my supplies that have just been sitting. And so this is a good way to do that. So I've scored it at 4.25 at 5.5. And I'm going to go over the 4.25 score because I don't think it's quite deep enough. I couldn't find my scoring blade, and I didn't want to drag out my scoreboard. That is more defined. And now I'm just going to fold this. And I'm folding on both of the score lines. This is folded on the debossed side. If you look on this side of the paper, it's where you'll see the embossing or the raised portion. The embossed side, this is the debossed side. We're cutting on the debossed side. So if you fold your paper, once you take it off, if you just fold it like this, you're going to remove this top section. That's the first section to be removed. So I've just positioned my paper back at the 4.25 mark, and then I've lined my blade up at, this is 5.5. But I think I'm going to start up a little bit, cut up, and then come back down to the score line. Okay. And then I'm just going to flip my card, put this at 5.5. And you can cut until you feel it, you'll feel it pop once you cut all the way through. Okay, and take that section out. And so this is what you'll have once you've done that. And take your time. I always take my time. I'm not in a contest. I'm in my studio. I'm not, and when I'm doing these videos, I get to edit it. So there's really no reason to rush when you're doing this, and make sure that you get everything lined up, because how you cut it is going to determine how your card folds. So that's why you want to make sure you get these cuts right. All right, so the next cut we're going to make is the first diagonal cut that we need to make. You're going to place your paper in your trimmer the way that I have this position, and you're going to line this corner up. And I know if you're an experienced crafter, you already know how to do this. And then you just need to get it so you're cutting on a diagonal from, you never want to cut from a corner like that because it will tear up your paper, and you don't want to do that. So you start in the middle, and you can go up and then come back down. And we're going to remove that section. And this is what you'll have once you've done that. So that's pretty straightforward. I mean, I don't think there's anything complicated about that. Okay, so our next cut, we're going to cut this bottom section. And to do that, we're just going to line this corner up. I mean, you can use the bottom of your cutting board if you need to. And then you're just going to rotate it so that this corner is in the channel. And again, we're going to start in the middle. All right, so that's the shape that we have. Okay, so now we're going to flip it over. So this is the inside of our card. This flap is going to fold in like this, and this flap is going to fold down like this. And so that is our card base. And as I said, I haven't decided what I'm going to put on here, but one decision I have made is that rather than using, well, I have to trim them down, but rather than using these two pieces as my top layer, I think I want to bring in some contrast, and I want to use this color. But I'm going to cut both to see which one works. So you would normally use these guys for your top layer, but I, like I said, want to try this. So now I have these different sections. So if okay, and so remember, we're going to turn our card over like this and fold it this way so that we have this opening. We want this opening on the right-hand side. And so I'm going to flip this one over and fold it. So if I decide that I want to go with the contrast, I will be able to make two cards and have the contrast that I want. And obviously, this would be cut down and trimmed so that I have an edge. But this is basically the scheme that I want. And so that would be, and these, of course, would have to be trimmed down with this. But we have some more steps to complete. But at least we've got the basic card shape. I decided that I'm going to emboss my layers with this is the Three Toes 3D Fine Line embossing folder, and I'll put a link to it down below. I have it listed in my Amazon storefront, so you can go to my Amazon storefront and order it if you want to use this particular embossing folder, but any embossing folder you have will do. It doesn't have to be 3D. It can be just a regular embossing folder. And I'm not going to trim these because I'm going to emboss these. When you emboss pieces, it reduces their size a little bit. So if you're ever going to emboss something, you need to emboss it first and then trim it. Then that way you will get the actual measurements that you want. If you trim it first and then emboss it, it might not work as well. So I always recommend just do the embossing first, and then you'll end up with what you really want to have. Now I'm going to trim my layers down, and I'm just going to take, I think, 1/8 of an inch off of each one. I don't want too large a border, so I think 1/8 will give me like 1/16 all the way around. So I'm going to do that. When I am cutting and trimming these, I'm using my guide wire more than the markings on my cutter. It's easier for me to eyeball it to make sure I get it right. So I've already cut this one, and I may decide to go back and give myself a little more of a border. Although I think that's enough of a border to highlight that this is a layer, and there's going to be a lot of, well, not a lot, but there are going to be decorations on there, so we'll see. And I just line it up. You have to be real careful so that you don't move your paper when you're moving your cutter, and just try to make sure it's the same from top to bottom. And then trim, and I just measure as I trim. So I think I have this where I want it. And then, of course, a lot will depend on what I ultimately decide to do with my decorations. But yeah, so this is shaping up nicely. So all I need to do now is continue going through my floral dies to see which flowers I want to use. And I don't use a lot of flowers, so I don't have a lot of flower dies, so it's going to take me a minute. Obviously, I'm not going to have you sit here while I make this decision, so I'll make the decision off camera and then pick up the video after that's done. Okay, so I've gotten all my components together for my card, and I'll take this off of here. So I embossed my panels and I trimmed them with, so I trimmed it or distressed it with shaded lilac, distress oxide. And I put on, I made it thick and heavy because the distress oxide will fade over time and it will get lighter. But I decided to go with a lavender theme, and I wanted to use green, and because green and lavender, green and purple is just so pretty together. I had some vintage papers. I found one that had lavender, a lavender plant on it, and I just cut it out by hand. And I'm going to put this down with some, probably with Mod Podge, but very lightly. I may just use glue. I'm not sure, because I want it to go down smoothly, and I want it to look like one piece. And this was another piece of that vintage paper. It was just a section that was left over from another project, and I thought that it would be pretty with this flower. And then once I knew how much space I would actually have left for stamping, I was trying to find one stamp to put there, because I was going to do something like Just a Note or Thinking of You. But then I was looking at these two stamps that were right above each other. It says, "You will forever be my always, love you." And I was like, okay, that would be perfect on here. And I can stamp over the plant. I'm going to stamp this in black ink. And so that's going to be really nice. So that will be the inside of my card. Then this stamp was also on the page with this lavender flower, and I just trimmed around the edge of it. I mounted it on a piece of foam tape, and I'm going to use that to hold my floral bundle. So this is going to be my focal, and I'm probably going to trim this ribbon more, but I want to wait until I get it on the card, and I'm not going to attach. This is going to also be dimensioned. There's a little piece of foam tape there, but this is actually going to go right here, right at where the right here where the flaps intersect, almost intersect. So I'm going to center that right there, and I'm going to put this on top of it like that. So that will be the front of the card, and then of course this will be on the inside, and you'll be able to see this lavender plant when that's done. Then on the inside, I am going to put this die cut right there. I'm going to glue that down. And then I'm not going to put anything else anywhere else, because I think that will be more than enough. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I am going to glue my flaps and put those down first. actually could have moved my love you up a little bit. I think it's okay. And also I may have a little thing symbol I can put there. And once I get this stamp clean, I'm going to obviously stamp it again with the embossing ink. And of course, everybody already knows I used my anti-static powder before I stamped, so you don't want to forget to do that. I don't know where the red ink came from, probably when I went over to my, but I've got a little smudging of ink here, and I'm going to just sort of gently remove that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of pigment ink. Pigment ink is really for patient crafters, I think. All right, so I've got a little warping here. I'm not going to worry about it because this is going to be taped down. So now I actually can position this in here and get everything lined up. So I'm hoping the glue will give me some oops time. I'm using Books by Hand glue, which I love. I use it in my bookmaking, but it does dry quickly. So you need to have a plan if you're going to use it. I want to see if I can get this glue off of here. Oh, great. I got these at the Dollar Tree, and they work just as well as the more expensive ones I've purchased in the past. So, cool. And I'm going to burnish these folds again. All right. So now comes the big part, and that's just getting my focal together. If you don't have this particular die, you can use any wildflower die or whatever you want to do to make your focal. So the first thing I'm going to do is put down this stamp. And I'm going to give that a few minutes to dry, and once I get everything on here, I will, I just want it to kind of let the glue set for a moment. All right, so now the last thing I have to deal with is my ribbon, which has a mind of its own. You can't blame it, though. It's been in my drawer for like 7 years. And so the little creases in it are permanent. All right, there's my card. It's done. I enjoy card making, so pretty much every project I work on is fun. But this one was really particularly fun for me to do. I was learning a new card style. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, this is going to be so complicated. And it really isn't. It's two cuts, it's like two scores, two cuts, and then simple decoration. So I hope you like this video. I hope that you will give this card a try. I also hope you will join our 2 challenge blogs. One is A Place to Start, and the other is 613 Avenue Create. We accept all crafts. Whatever you're working on, you want to put it into our challenge, we'd love to see it. We just like to celebrate creativity. So thank you for stopping by. Remember to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.